Charlie the Capuchin monkey had escaped from Riverside Zoo 47 times in 18 months. Each time, zookeepers would find him in the same place, doing the same thing. But when they finally followed him with hidden cameras, what they discovered wasn't mischief, it was a mission of love that would change everything they thought they knew about animal compassion. Riverside Zoo had been home to Charlie for 3 years, and in that time, he had become both the most beloved and most problematic resident. The 9-year-old Capuchin monkey possessed an intelligence that consistently amazed visitors and frustrated staff in equal measure. Charlie's enclosure was considered escape-proof by industry standards. 15-foot walls, multiple security barriers, and reinforced glass viewing areas had been designed to contain even the most determined primates. The habitat included climbing structures, puzzle feeders, and environmental enrichment that should have kept any Capuchin mentally stimulated and content. But Charlie was different. Maria Santos, Charlie's primary keeper, had worked with primates. For over a decade, she'd seen clever monkeys, problem-solving apes, and escape artists who could find weaknesses in any enclosure. But Charlie's behavior was unprecedented. "He's not trying to escape," Maria would tell anyone who would listen. "He's trying to go somewhere specific." The pattern was always the same. Charlie would wait until the zoo closed, usually around sunset. Then, using a combination of incredible agility and problem-solving skills that bordered on genius, he would find a way out of his enclosure. Sometimes he'd stack objects to reach higher areas. Other times he'd manipulate gate mechanisms in ways that shouldn't have been possible for an animal without opposable thumbs. The most baffling part was that Charlie always returned. By morning, he would be back in his habitat, sitting calmly and showing no signs of stress or agitation. He never damaged property during his escapes, never caused problems for other animals, and never showed any aggression towards staff when they discovered his absence. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, the zoo's head veterinarian, was initially concerned about Charlie's mental health. Repetitive escape behavior usually indicates psychological distress, she explained during one of many staff meetings about the Charlie situation. But all his behavioral assessments show a healthy, well-adjusted primate. The zoo invested thousands of dollars in security upgrades specifically designed to contain Charlie. Motion sensors, additional barriers, even 24-hour camera surveillance in his enclosure. Nothing worked. Charlie would study each new security measure for a few days, then find a way around it. "It's like he's treating this as a puzzle to solve," noted Tom Bradley, the zoo's senior primate keeper. But most animals trying to escape would show signs of frustration or desperation. Charlie seems almost ... methodical. After 6 months of failed containment attempts, the zoo considered transferring Charlie to a maximum security facility. But Maria fought against the idea. Something about Charlie's behavior told her there was more to the story than simple escape attempts. "He's not running away from something," Maria insisted during a heated staff meeting. "He's running towards something. And whatever it is, it's important enough that he keeps coming back to us." The breakthrough came during Charlie's 30-second documented escape. Maria had started staying late at the zoo, hoping to catch Charlie in the act and finally understand his motivations. On a warm Tuesday evening in September, Maria watched from a hidden position as Charlie began his escape routine. What she saw was not the frantic desperation of a caged animal, but the focused determination of someone with a mission. Charlie worked with incredible precision, using a small piece of wire he'd somehow acquired to manipulate the lock mechanism on his enclosure's service gate. The process took him nearly 20 minutes of patient, careful work. When the gate finally opened, Charlie didn't rush toward freedom. Instead, he looked around carefully, almost as if checking to make sure no one was watching. Then he headed directly toward the zoo's main exit. Maria's decision to follow Charlie that night violated every protocol in the zoo's safety manual. Staff was strictly forbidden from pursuing escaped animals without backup and proper equipment. But something about Charlie's purposeful movements convinced Maria that this wasn't a dangerous situation. Charlie moved through the zoo with the confidence of someone who knew exactly where he was going. He avoided the main pathways, staying in shadows and using natural cover. His route seemed planned, efficient, and completely focused on a specific destination. At the zoo's perimeter, Charlie approached a section of fence that Maria had never paid much attention to. The Capuchin monkey had clearly been working on this area for months. gradually loosening several fence panels until they could be moved just enough for a small primate to squeeze through. Outside the zoo, Charlie's behavior became even more purposeful. He stayed off the main roads, using trees and landscaping to remain hidden. Maria followed at a distance, her heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and fear. 20 minutes later, Charlie stopped at a building that made Maria's breath catch. In her throat, St. Catherine's Children's Hospital, less than a mile from the zoo. But Charlie wasn't finished. He climbed up the side of the building with the effortless grace that only primates possess, using drain pipes and architectural features like a natural climbing structure. Maria watched in amazement as Charlie reached the 3rd floor and approached a specific window. Inside, Maria could see the dim lighting of what appeared to be a hospital room, and there, pressed against the glass, was a small face, a child, maybe 6 or 7 years old, looking out into the night. When the child saw Charlie, the reaction was immediate and profound. A huge smile spread across the young face, and small hands pressed against the window glass. Charlie sat on the narrow ledge outside the window, chattering softly and making the kind of playful gestures that Maria had seen him make with zoo visitors. For the next hour, Maria watched as Charlie performed what could only be described as a private show for an audience of one. He did acrobatic tricks, made funny faces, and seemed to be communicating with the child through the glass in a way that transcended the barriers between species. When visiting hours officially ended and the hospital lights dimmed, Charlie carefully made his way back down the building. His return journey to the zoo was just as purposeful as his departure. He squeezed back through the fence, navigated to his enclosure, and somehow managed to lock himself back inside. Maria stood in the zoo's parking lot for nearly an hour after Charlie's return, trying to process what she had witnessed. This wasn't escape behavior, it was visitation. Charlie had somehow found a way to visit a hospitalized child, and he'd been doing it for over a year. The next morning, Maria made a phone call that would change everything. Dr. Rebecca Morgan, head of pediatric care at St. Catherine's Children's Hospital, was initially skeptical when Maria called to explain what she had witnessed. The idea that a zoo monkey had been secretly visiting one of their patients sounded like something out of a children's book. But when Maria described the specific window and the 3rd floor location, Dr. Morgan's skepticism turned to amazement. "That's Emma's room," Dr. Morgan said quietly. "She's been a patient here for almost 2 years. 8-year-old Emma Rodriguez had been battling a rare form of childhood leukemia since she was 6. Her treatment required extended hospital stays, an isolation that prevented her from having normal childhood experiences. She couldn't attend school, play with friends, or enjoy many of the activities that other children took for granted. Emma has always talked about seeing a monkey friend outside her window." Dr. Morgan explained to Maria during their meeting the next day. "We assumed it was an imaginary friend, or perhaps the effects of her medication. Many children in long-term care develop coping mechanisms like that, but Emma's descriptions had been remarkably consistent and detailed. She talked about a monkey who would visit her at night, who would do tricks and seem to understand when she was feeling scared or sad. The nursing staff had noted that Emma's mood and cooperation with treatment often improved dramatically after these reported visits. We thought it was harmless fantasy," Dr. Morgan admitted, "but if what you're saying is true, ... Maria arranged for Dr. Morgan to review the zoo's security footage from Charlie's enclosure. The timestamps clearly showed Charlie's absences corresponding with the times Emma reported seeing her monkey friend. "This is unprecedented," Dr. Morgan said as they watched footage of Charlie's methodical escape techniques. "How would a monkey even know that a child in that specific room needed comfort?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Emma's mother, Rosa Rodriguez, had been struggling to find ways to help her daughter cope with the isolation and fear of extended hospitalization. 6 months earlier, she had taken Emma on a brief outing to Riverside Zoo during one of her better days. Emma had been immediately drawn to the primate exhibit, spending nearly an hour watching Charlie and his companions. She had pressed her face against a viewing glass, chattering and making gestures that seemed to engage Charlie's attention. He looked right at her, Rosa remembered during an emotional conversation with Maria and Dr. Morgan. It was like they understood each other. Emma talked about that monkey for weeks after our visit. What no one realized at the time was that Charlie had apparently recognized something in Emma that triggered his protective instincts. Capuchin monkeys are highly social animals with strong family bonds and an ability to recognize distress in OTHERS. Dr. James Parker, a primatologist from the local university, was called in to assess the situation. His evaluation of Charlie's behavior provided insights that amazed everyone involved. Capuchin monkeys have been observed showing empathy and altruistic behavior toward other monkeys, Dr. Parker explained. But this is the first documented case. I'm aware of where a Capuchin has shown sustained, purposeful caregiving behavior toward a human child. Charlie had somehow understood that Emma was suffering and alone. His escapes weren't attempts to flee captivity. They were missions of compassion, designed to bring comfort to a child who needed a friend. The discovery of Charlie's secret, hospital visits, created a complex situation that required careful navigation between animal welfare, hospital protocols, and a child's emotional needs. Dr. Morgan consulted with hospital administration, patient advocates, and infectious disease specialists to determine if Charlie's visits posed any health risks to Emma or other patients. Surprisingly, the assessment was largely positive. Charlie has been health screened regularly at the zoo, reported Dr. Walsh, the zoo veterinarian. He's shown no signs of illness or disease that could be transmitted to humans, and he's never actually entered the hospital. All contact has been through the window glass. More importantly, Emma's medical team had noticed significant improvements in her emotional state and treatment compliance on the days following her reported monkey visits. She was more cooperative with procedures, showed less anxiety, and seemed generally more hopeful. Having something to look forward to, something that brings joy, can have a measurable impact on a child's healing process, explained Dr. Sarah Chen, the hospital's child psychologist. If Charlie's visits are providing that for Emma, we need to consider the therapeutic value. Emma herself, when finally told that her monkey friend was real, was overjoyed but not surprised. "I knew he was real," she said simply. "He comes to check on me when I'm scared. He makes funny faces when I'm sad. Sometimes he just sits with me when the medicine makes me feel sick." The 8-year-old's matter-of-fact description of Charlie's behavior revealed a level of interspecies communication and empathy that impressed even the most skeptical observers. Maria worked with hospital staff to install a small shelf outside Emma's window, along with safety measures to ensure Charlie couldn't fall during his visits. They also set up a communication system that would alert zoo staff if Charlie needed medical attention during his nighttime journeys. "We're essentially facilitating the world's most unusual therapy animal program," Dr. Morgan noted with amazement. The arrangement worked beautifully. Charlie continued his nightly visits, but now with the full knowledge and support of both the zoo and hospital staff, Emma's parents could watch the interactions and see firsthand the joy that Charlie brought to their daughter's difficult days. Charlie seemed to understand that his secret was out. His behavior during visits became even more intentional and therapeutic. He would arrive shortly after Emma's evening medications, when she was often feeling nauseated and scared. His presence would calm her, and his gentle antics would often make her laugh despite her discomfort. Word of Charlie and Emma's unique friendship spread through the medical and zoological communities, attracting researchers interested in studying interspecies empathy and animal-assisted therapy. Dr. Michelle Foster, a researcher in animal cognition at Stanford University, obtained permission to study Charlie's behavior using non-invasive observation techniques. Her findings were groundbreaking. Charlie displays all the markers of intentional, empathetic behavior, Dr. Foster reported after months of observation. He modifies his actions based on Emma's emotional state, shows consistency in his caregiving behaviors, and demonstrates problem-solving skills specifically directed toward providing comfort. Video analysis revealed that Charlie had developed a sophisticated understanding of Emma's needs and medical schedule. He would arrive at times when Emma was most likely to be awake and in need of distraction. His behavior would shift based on Emma's energy levels, more energetic performances when she was feeling better, calmer presence when she was having difficult days. Most remarkably, Dr. Foster noted, Charlie shows clear signs of emotional distress when Emma is having particularly bad days. We've observed him sitting quietly by the window when Emma is too sick to interact, almost as if he's keeping vigil. The research also revealed the sophistication of Charlie's escape methods. He had developed different techniques for different security measures, suggesting advanced planning and problem-solving abilities. Charlie treats each security upgrade like a new puzzle to solve, explained Dr. Parker, the primatologist, but his motivation isn't personal freedom, it's maintaining his ability to visit Emma. That level of purposeful behavior in service of another individual is remarkable. Emma's medical team documented the positive effects of Charlie's visits. On her treatment outcomes, her stress levels, measured through cortisol testing, showed significant decreases following Charlie's visits. Her sleep patterns improved, and her cooperation with medical procedures increased markedly. Having Charlie to look forward to has given Emma a reason to fight harder, observed her primary nurse, Jennifer Walsh. She talks about getting better so she can visit Charlie at the zoo. It's given her a goal beyond just surviving treatment. As news of Charlie and Emma's friendship spread, it captured hearts around the world. Local media coverage led to national attention, and soon their story was being shared globally. The response was overwhelming and positive. Donations poured into both the zoo and the hospital. Children from around the world sent letters and drawings to Emma, many including pictures of their own animal friends. Charlie has become a symbol of hope for a lot of families dealing with childhood illness, said Rosa Rodriguez, Emma's mother. Parents write to us saying that Emma's story helps them believe that their children aren't alone in their struggles. The zoo experienced a dramatic increase in visitors, many coming specifically to see Charlie. Maria worked with education staff to develop programs about animal intelligence and empathy, using Charlie's story as a teaching tool. Children who hear about Charlie start looking at animals differently, Maria observed. They understand that animals have complex emotions and can care about others, just like humans do. St. Catherine's Hospital also benefited from the increased attention. Funding for pediatric programs increased, and other zoos and aquariums reached out about developing animal therapy programs for their facilities. Dr. Morgan established the Charlie Foundation, dedicated to researching and implementing animal therapy programs for hospitalized children. The Foundation's first project involved working with local animal sanctuaries to develop safe visitation programs. Charlie proved that animals can be partners in healing, Dr. Morgan explained. I want to explore how that partnership can be expanded to help more children. Emma became something of a spokesperson for childhood cancer awareness, sharing her story at fundraising events and medical conferences. Her articulate descriptions of how Charlie's friendship helped her cope with treatment inspired both medical professionals and families facing similar challenges. After 18 months of treatment, Emma's cancer went into remission. The day she was finally discharged from the hospital was emotional for everyone involved, but perhaps most of all for Charlie. The Capuchin monkey had become so attuned to Emma's presence that he seemed to sense when she wasn't in her usual room. On the nights when Emma was home with her family, Charlie would still make his journey to the hospital, but his behavior would be different, restless, searching, as if looking for his missing friend. Emma's first official visit to the zoo after her discharge was arranged as a special event. Media coverage was kept to a minimum to protect Emma's privacy, but zoo staff and hospital personnel gathered to witness the reunion. When Emma approached Charlie's enclosure, his reaction was immediate and joyful. The usually calm and methodical monkey became animated, chattering excitedly and performing acrobatic displays that drew laughter and tears from the assembled crowd. "It's like he knows she's better," Maria said, watching Charlie's enthusiastic greeting. "He's celebrating with her." Emma spent hours at the zoo that day, but most of her time was spent at Charlie's exhibit. They seemed to be having an extended conversation through the glass, with Emma telling Charlie about her plans to return to school and Charlie responding with his full repertoire of expressions and gestures. "He's still my best friend," Emma told reporters who asked about her relationship with Charlie. "He helped me when I was scared, and now I want to help other kids who are scared too." Emma's recovery allowed her to become more actively involved in the Charlie Foundation's work. She participated in the development of animal therapy protocols and helped design programs that would bring the benefits of animal companionship to other hospitalized children. 3 years after Emma's recovery, Charlie continued his work as an unofficial therapy animal. The zoo and hospital had formalized their partnership, creating a structured program that allowed Charlie to safely visit multiple children. A special viewing room was built adjacent to the pediatric ward, where children could interact with Charlie through specially designed barriers that ensured both safety and connection. Charlie seemed to understand his role in this new arrangement, showing the same empathy and responsiveness to each child that he had originally shown to Emma. Charlie has visited over 200 children in the past 3 years, reported Dr. Morgan. In every case, we've seen positive emotional and medical outcomes. Some children have shown improved treatment compliance, others have reduced anxiety. A few have experienced what can only be described as breakthrough moments in their healing. Processed Emma, now 12 and cancer-free, had become Charlie's biggest advocate. She spoke at conferences about animal-assisted therapy and worked with researchers, studying the mechanisms behind interspecies healing relationships. Charlie taught me that we're all connected, Emma explained during a presentation at a pediatric oncology conference. Animals understand things about us that we sometimes don't understand about ourselves. They can see when we need help, and they want to help us feel better. The research spawned by Charlie's story had broader implications for both animal welfare and human medicine. Zoos around the world began developing programs that allowed their animals to participate in therapeutic activities, while hospitals explored ways to incorporate animal interactions into treatment protocols. Dr. Foster's ongoing research had documented similar empathetic behaviors in other primates, dolphins, and even some bird species. Charlie wasn't unique in his capacity for empathy, she explained. He was unique in his opportunity to express it. When we create environments that allow animals to show their full emotional range, we discover remarkable capabilities. That zoo renovated Charlie's habitat to better accommodate his therapeutic work while maintaining his physical and psychological well-being. The new enclosure included areas where Charlie could interact with visitors while having retreat spaces where he could rest and socialize with other primates. We learned that Charlie's escapes weren't a sign of an inadequate habitat. Maria reflected they were a sign of an exceptional animal who needed a purpose beyond his own comfort. Now we've found ways to honor that purpose while keeping everyone safe. 5 years after their first meeting, Charlie and Emma's friendship remained strong, though it had evolved as Emma grew into adolescence and Charlie matured into an elder statesman of the zoo community. Emma visited Charlie regularly, often bringing friends from school who were amazed by the special relationship between the teenager and the monkey. Charlie always greeted Emma with obvious recognition and affection, but his behavior had shifted from protective caregiver to trusted friend. It's like watching old friends catch up, observed Maria, who had been promoted to headkeeper of primates. They still have their own language, their own way of communicating, but now it's more like equals sharing experiences. Emma had decided to pursue a career in veterinary medicine, specifically focusing on animal behavior and therapy. She credited Charlie with inspiring her life path and helping her understand the depth of animal consciousness. Before I met Charlie, I thought animals were just animals, Emma said during a high school presentation about her experiences. Charlie taught me that animals have personalities, emotions, and the ability to care about others. That changed everything about how I see the world. Charlie's story had inspired similar programs at dozens of facilities worldwide. The Charlie Protocol became a recognized framework for developing animal-assisted therapy programs that prioritized both human healing and animal welfare. Dr. Morgan's Charlie Foundation had expanded internationally, funding research and program development that brought animal companions to children facing illness, trauma, and emotional challenges around the world. Charlie proved that healing doesn't always come from medicine or technology, Dr. Morgan reflected. Sometimes it comes from connection, compassion, and the simple presence of someone who cares. The fact that Charlie isn't human doesn't make that care less real or less powerful. Charlie's story challenges many assumptions about animal intelligence, empathy, and the potential for interspecies healing relationships. What began as a series of escape attempts revealed itself to be something far more profound, a demonstration of love that transcended the boundaries between species. Emma's recovery could be attributed to many factors: excellent medical care, loving family support, and her own courage and determination. But everyone involved in her treatment acknowledged that Charlie's friendship played a crucial role in her healing journey. Charlie gave Emma something that medicine couldn't provide. Dr. Chen, the child psychologist, explained, he gave her joy in the midst of suffering, friendship in the midst of isolation, and hope in the midst of fear. Those aren't small things, they're often the difference between surviving and thriving. The research sparked by Charlie's story has expanded our understanding of animal consciousness and the potential for therapeutic partnerships between humans and animals. It has also raised important questions about how we design environments for animals in human care. ensuring that they have opportunities to express their full range of natural behaviors and emotional capabilities. For Maria, who had defended Charlie from the beginning, the vindication was deeply satisfying. "I always knew Charlie was special," she said, "but even I didn't understand how special until we saw him with Emma. He taught all of us that animals aren't just objects for our entertainment or education. They're beings with their own purposes and missions." Today, visitors to Riverside Zoo can learn about Charlie's story through educational displays that highlight the remarkable intelligence and empathy of primates. Many leave with a deeper appreciation for the animals in their own lives and a better understanding of the connections that bind all living beings. Charlie continues his work as a therapy animal. Now in his late teens and considered elderly for a Capuchin monkey, his gentle presence brings comfort to children facing their own battles with illness and fear, carrying on the tradition of compassion that began with one extraordinary escape and one remarkable friendship. Emma, now in college, studying medicine, still visits Charlie regularly. Their meetings are quieter now, less dramatic than the early days of secret hospital visits, but no less meaningful. They sit together, separated by glass, but connected by a bond that has endured and deepened over time. "People ask me if I believe animals have souls," Emma said during a recent interview. "I tell them to look at Charlie. If what he did for me, the love, the sacrifice, the determination to help, if that's not a soul, then I don't know what is." What do you think drives animals like Charlie to risk everything to help others? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories that prove love and compassion exist throughout the animal kingdom, in forms we're only beginning to understand. The story of Charlie and Emma reminds us that heroes come in all sizes, that friendship knows no boundaries, and that sometimes the most profound healing comes not from what we receive, but from knowing that someone, or in this case, some monkey, cares enough to never give up on us.